No, don't.
Yes, already did.
But why? We're not ready.
I don't need your consent to have you on the podcast.
You're getting more American every day. I'm just gonna eat something because I need energy.
Hmm,
You can cut this out.
if I want
Water.
to.
Okay. Play the jingle. Ba, 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 ba.
Pop culture, spilling the plenty.
By the way, did I send you the file, the music?
The jingles? Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
That was nice, wasn't it? I liked it.
AI jingles.
Yeah. It's like
Plenty.
other people make photos and graphics with AI. I make music.
Honey, you're not an artist.
Mm,
Sorry to break it to you.
fine artist. I'm a prompter.
Yeah, that's a talent too,
Yeah.
I guess.
All right. Well, if you guys want to hear my plant song, maybe I'll actually pay the license to use it commercially and then I can share it with you. I'll throw it on our YouTube channel. Don't hate me. No. All right. Welcome to episode 8 of the Prop Culture Podcast with your favorite hosts, Tanya and Jos.
And me,
You
8.
are
So that's
Jos.
2 months
Yeah.
already. Okay, how have you been, Tanya? Still holding on there across the Atlantic?
Oh, God, dude. It snowed so much. Everything is white, 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 white. I can't stand it.
No, I would neither. I hate snow.
It's like I'm
Like,
allergic to it.
hmm, usually we have like a few days here in Belgium, and that's too much. And when it happens, everybody freaks out, takes pictures, and traffic halts. Like everybody forgets how to drive when there's snow, and it's usually like 1 centimeter of brown, brackish dirt snow.
Mm,
No,
no.
no snow for me.
I just said to my dad this week, it's such a unnecessary waste of resources of Mother Nature to freeze a perfectly fine liquid. And also my car broke down Sunday because for some reason the heater fan gave in and I couldn't get home because the window shield froze. Like who needs that?
I mean, it's clear we both don't like winter, so
No. Okay. Let's
I
get
do have
into
a
the
confession to make. Sorry to
what?
interrupt you. I did cave in and we got a Christmas tree and I hate it, but
Is it
I
plastic or real?
yeah, it's plastic. It's plastic, but yeah, my boyfriend, he kept asking for it and he's so happy we got it. So
Oh,
I guess that's enough reason to get one, I guess.
yeah.
And he lets me have my plants next to it, so
Okay.
I'm fine.
Okay. Approved. I wanna see a photo, but yeah, approved. Okie dokie. Let's get into today's episode. Today, we're going to have, obviously, as we always do, we start with our latest news. Got a couple of interesting things coming up there. And then we will have an interview with one of my favorite plant people on planet Earth, aside from you, obviously. Yes. We have Memo in the house. That'll be
Yay.
fun. And then we're going to close out with Rate That Weird Plant.
I forgot about the article.
Yeah, there's an article we're going to touch upon.
I think it's important.
Yeah, it
It's
is.
it's
Like,
gonna
what's in
be
a plant name,
yeah,
right?
something like that. Yeah, let's keep it vague like that.
Okay. We're going to be talking about what's in a plant name. Alrighty. So, the first thing I wanted to talk about, and this is like hot off the press because some of you may know I am on the board of the International Aroid Society. And the Aroid Society lost their editors this week. No, actually, it was last week as of recording this. The editors of the Aroideana magazine, which is a highly scientific paper that gets published about once a year. You would not believe how hard it is to replace good editors of scientific papers. So that's what we're busy with at the IAS at the moment. But the good thing is, Tom Crowett is helping us find the right people.
Oh, the
So I
big man
got
himself.
the big man himself. So I got to, or me and the others on the board got to speak to him on Sunday, which was always lovely. He's such a gentleman and always a pleasure to interact with.
When we talk about editors, we talk about people who collect the articles and put it together, or really people who do the layout of the magazine?
No, the layout is done by a gentleman called Lester Callis. So that's not so much the problem. He's doing a great job with that. But the people who actually put the articles together, they receive the submissions, they go over them, they edit them, make sure that everything is scientifically correct. They select the images to be included. That's a very high level overview, but it's not something that everybody can do. It's a highly specialized role because not many people have the ability to do it at the level that the previous editors have. So, yeah, that's gonna
Sounds
be
like a nice job, though.
if you enjoy writing, I'm sure it is, but, we're gonna have to be very picky about who succeeds in that role just to uphold the standard
Well, maybe this is a shout out. There's an open position
for editors
for
at the Aroideana.
exactly. All the listeners we have, there's gonna be somebody in there for sure.
Yeah, you need at least like a, I don't know, PhD in editing or something. No, it's really not that easy to find people who have the time because it does take quite some time. I don't know if you've seen the latest Aroideana issues, but they're like hundreds of pages.
Yes. I
It's a big
usually
job.
just I usually just scroll to the interim articles, to be honest, because there's
That's
just so
okay.
much information in there.
Yeah,
But I really like it.
it's an
It's cool
important
because
publication.
yeah, it's also the nerd side of me really enjoys that.
Yeah.
Let's go to a next topic. It's something that I picked out of a Facebook group that I'm following. On December 9th, one of the group members posted the question, what's a plant you'll never buy again? Now, that's a question I like because, that triggers me. And I did some numbers on the comments that were in there. There are over 100 comments. Um, and I made a top 10 of plants that people said they would never buy again. Now, I have a guess, like three guesses on what the number one could be on there.
I'm gonna go with Philodendron lupinum.
That's your first guess? Okay, but it's very specific. Like I just use the genus names.
Oh,
So that would be philodendron for you.
no, in that case, fern. I
Fern.
find
Okay.
ferns really hard.
Okay. Fern is at number four.
Okay.
Have one more guess.
Maybe Calathea?
Bing, bing, bing. Yes,
Really?
that's number one. Yeah, that's number one by
Wow.
far. By far.
Yeah.
So at 10, we have a few names like Hoya, ficus, some philodendron, pothos. Then at 9, we have orchids, prayer plants, maranta. At 8, we have begonia. At 7, succulents. Then we have peace lily at 7, which I find weird. They're not that hard.
I thought we
At
had succulents
5,
at 7.
yes. And at 6, we have peace lily.
Okay.
At 5, string of plants, string of pearls, string of whatever. At 4, we had ferns. And then at 3, which I also find weird, alocasia. Alocasia.
Oh.
Yeah. And second, also very weird to me, spider plants.
Who
A lot
buys
of people,
those? Like, don't
but
you
they're
just
so
get them for free from
yeah,
from your
yeah,
friends?
exactly, exactly. But also, why would you say that's a plant I'll never buy again? Maybe because they can get them for free. Maybe
Probably.
that way. But yeah, spider plants is that too.
Did you know that cats get high off spider plants?
Is it like a cat grass, like the same
Kind
effect?
of, yeah. It has a similar effect.
Okay. So anyway, I found that was interesting. Up to you.
I agree with all of those except for the alocasia, and it's funny because I was just looking at what's for sale currently on Palm Street, and there was so many alocasia, like
Yeah.
more than monstera or philodendron.
Variegated. Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
and the venom, oh my god, that thing is so pretty.
You think?
Yeah.
I think it looks sick. Sorry. That's not my shtick.
Okay. I like it, and I love that heart bubble one. It's so cute. Anyway, but yeah, I'm surprised that's so high up on that list.
Maybe because of spider mites. Same
Oh,
same as Calathea.
yeah. They're
When
like
I had them
bug
in my
magnets.
house, they always had spider mites.
Yeah. I sometimes sacrifice an alocasia that I no longer like, and I put it in the middle of my collection so that all the spider mites go to that and leave the rest of my collection alone. They're like the best yellow sticky tags.
Sorry, but that's actually a really good idea.
Mhm.
Well, that's a good idea if the spider mites would just stay on the alocasia, but
They
I
usually
don't
do.
think.
Like, where the alocasia is in my other plants, they don't go to, like, my anthurium or anything. They go
Okay.
for the
But then
for the
wouldn't
upfront.
Calathea be a better option then?
I don't think I have any Calatheas anymore.
Well, for that reason.
Yeah, but, you know, I'm a curator, not a collector.
Whatever you wanna call it. Anyways, I have one more topic for the news. Have you heard of Monstera bulbasaur?
I have, but I've come to the conclusion that plants that I can't afford, I'm not gonna think about too much, but I think they've come down in price, no?
Exactly, you can start thinking about it because they have recently been released from TC, at least in Europe. I've seen them in Facebook groups or also on shops going for around €100,
Oh,
which
wow.
is still a lot, but that's affordable-ish. Um, so yeah, as they are rising in popularity and being more and more available, I thought it would be nice to have like a quick origin story of the Monstera bulbasaur.
Mhm, go
Um,
ahead.
so it was found slash created by Yang Lui from China, who's the founder of Pot Monster Garden. He's a collector of Monstera species, and from what I read from his Instagram post, it was one seedling that he found amongst other Monstera plants that he handpicked because he saw that the variegation was different to other variegation in the plants that he found. The variegation was minimal at first, but he saw that it was like, yeah, again, a different kind of variegation, and he grew it out in his greenhouse, and he saw that as the new leaves developed, that the variegation became stronger and more complex, and eventually full leaf, like the cultivar you see today. So he took repeated cuttings and selected for the best leaves and growth points, which led to a stable expression of the plant. It was then actually submitted as a new cultivar, and he named the plant Monstera bulbasaur, named after the Pokemon, because the variegation resembled the color pattern of that Pokemon to him. He submitted that plant to the International Aroid Society cultivar name in 2023. I'm not sure if it has been officially approved or still pending, but the plant is now in TC and is now, at least in Europe, available. I don't know how the US market is looking, but I think
I
plant shops
found
like
one I found
yeah,
one auction on Palm Street, but I'm sure there's more sellers.
I think I saw like Rare Plant Fairy or something,
Yeah,
that the plant shop,
definitely.
but I don't know if they have them in TC or just a few cuttings. So
I'd assume in
anyways,
tea.
if you like the plant, I like it. Maybe wait half a year and I think you can buy them for €50, which
What
I
I
think
like about it is that the variegation pattern is a bit different and it presents more like a mint variegation.
yeah,
I
well,
really like that.
I think it's a mutation or like a variant on a mint variegation, and it
Mm,
looks to be very stable, which is also cool, more resembling of Thai constellation kind of variation.
mhm. Yeah.
So yeah, I really like it.
Yeah, it's a pretty one. Okie dokie, that was it for the news. Let's talk about the wandering elephant in the room, and I'm gonna have to credit Avery for that. But we wanted to talk about what's in a plant name and You shared this article with me some time ago.
Yeah, it's actually an article that's already over a year old. It was written by Avery Rowe. They are a collector grower of Tradescantia mainly. They're the main moderator of a Facebook group I'm in about Tradescantia. And I've seen quite some discussions in that group because that group used to be called Tradescantia Lovers and then between brackets Wandering Jew, something like that. And there were quite some discussions about that name, removing that name because a lot of people felt uncomfortable with the name. And then, yeah, Avery Rowe wrote that article about that name, about how we should not use that name anymore, and then also went more into like the history of that name. So I think it's interesting for us to talk about it, also put it a little bit broader and, you know, tackle some other names that might not be the best to use.
Well, what I took away from Avery's article, I mean, as you said, they laid out why that name can be seen as problematic, etc. But what I took away was their decision to not ban the word in their Facebook group. And for the reasons are actually quite like they make sense to me. It's a matter of being inclusive and just realizing that people who are new to the hobby might not be familiar with the Latin name, but also Tradescantia is presumably hard to spell for people who have learning disabilities, etc. And they also quoted a small poll, I'm going to say, not study, it's a poll, where they asked people about the usage of that word, whether they liked it or not, etc. And some people who responded to that poll were of Jewish descent and or Jewish. And apparently, among themselves, when in Israel, one Jew talks to another and they use that name, the wandering Jew, they don't mind as much because they kind of see it as a reclaimed racial slur, if you want. But they don't like when non-Jewish people use the word.
Exactly.
Interestingly enough, the Hebrew name is also wandering Jew. So that's what they call the plant. And I guess it's kind of similar to the N word, where it's cool if people of color use it when speaking among themselves. But obviously, it would be very uncool for a white person to walk up to a
No.
person of color and
But
call
also
them the N word.
the opinion of non-Jews is not really important in this case. It's not up to debate whether we like to use it or not. That's not
Mm,
really relevant. And I agree. It's like you can say my neighbor he's Jewish and he says he doesn't mind. Well, that doesn't really
yeah.
permit you to use it. Anyways, we're going to talk about the history and talk about a bit more other examples and just to more broadly sketch out what we want to talk about when it comes to like common names for plants. It's never the Latin names. Well, it's also the Latin names. We're going to talk about that too. But it's mostly the common names that sometimes have problematic pasts.
Past as in history.
Yeah, pasts. Pasts. So we're going to talk about that. Let's talk about the common name wandering Jew. So it traces back to a medieval Christian era myth where a Jewish man taunted Jesus on the way to his crucifixion. I did not know that story, but apparently it's written in one of the books of the Bible. And as a punishment, afterwards he was cursed to wander the earth until the second coming. That myth became a staple to use in anti Semitic folklore at various times. It served to portray Jewish people as, cursed wanderers or outsiders. And so that's where the name came from to give to the plant. It first appeared in horticultural literature around 1867. And since then, it's become widely used, especially for like a specific Tradescantia species, Tradescantia zebrina, that's mainly used for that specific plant, but it's also used for similar trailing plants. proposed explanation for why it was used is because it's a creeping plant. It has a wandering growth habit, and then combined with the anti-Semitic folklore, it got its name. It's more easily to pronounce or to remember than Tradescantia, though that's not an argument I would make. So, because of that underlying myth that is anti Semitic, many argue that the name perpetuates harmful stereotypes, even if unintentionally. I'm pretty sure 99.99 people who use the word do it unintentionally, but doesn't really matter. So, that's also why Avery, in their article, they conclude that using Wandering Jew is problematic, and they recommend avoiding it in favor of using neutral or more common words like Tradescantia, but they also mention alternatives like inchplant or spiderwort to use. So we do see in that specific plant community that the groups, they ban the use of the name Wandering Jew. Some replace it with, for instance, Wandering Dude, though again, some people argue that remains controversial too. They see it as a superficial fix, but the conversation is still ongoing.
I never really understand this whole well, yes, I do from a commercial standpoint because it's easier to sell a inch plant than to sell a Trodoscantia. People usually don't use complicated names that they don't understand or they associate certain growth patterns, whatever. But personally, I would never use a retail name or a common name over the Latin name, but that's because I'm geeky like that.
Mhm.
Like, and
I
I
think
want to be
most
specific.
most plant collectors are geeky about that.
Yeah, it's like people who call the money tree the money tree. It's like, which
Mm,
one are you talking about?
mm,
You know, a jade plant. Which jade plant are you talking about?
exactly.
So it's to me, it's just not specific enough. But apart from that, I mean, obviously, when I got into plant collecting, one of the ones that really blew my mind, and probably because I'm an American, was the dumb cane, which is used for the Diefenbachia. When I learned what that was about, I was completely stumped, and that was probably one of the first triggers for me to start getting into learning the actual Latin names or botanical names of
Okay.
plants.
I must say, I personally, for me, I have never used any common names for plants. I don't know, or at least I can't recall using any non-Latin names for
Could you
plants.
imagine? Could you imagine calling your anthurium a flamingo plant?
Yeah. But even before that, before I was collecting, I don't recall.
Yes.
No, I don't recall me even like I had a spider plant when I was 17, and I didn't call it spider plant. I called it chlorophytum. So
Okay, you're very nerdy.
I am, I am, and I'm proud of it.
Yeah, of course. I don't even remember what I called a spider plant. I can't think of it. I mean, this would have probably been during my primary German era, because my German grandmother got me into plants, but I wouldn't. Mm-mm. I wouldn't remember what it's called, what she called it.
But not even the common names, not only the common names are posing these kind of issues with the names.
Mhm.
Um, Maybe you want to talk about what happened in July 2024.
Yeah. So speaking of scientific names, then obviously we need to look into what botanists do. And there's quite some stuff happening on that end too. Well, quite some stuff happening. In July 2024, as you said, the International Botanical Congress in Madrid, they had more than 100 scientists come together and they moved or they voted to remove racially offensive terms from scientific names of hundreds of plants, fungi, and algae species. Specifically, this was about the term kafra or kafra. To be honest, it's not a term that I was familiar with before we decided to speak on this, but historically it is used in colonial era contexts as a racial slur against Black African people.
Mm.
And so they voted to replace that term with variants of AFR, Afra, Afrorum, and Afrum. Apologies if my pronunciation isn't quite right, but that would be to reflect the African origins more respectfully. So, interestingly, the vote passed with just 63% approval, and they needed a 60% threshold. But that is the first time that taxonomists really formally changed existing scientific names for ethical reasons.
I mean, that's low, right?
It
63?
is,
And would their reasons be like, it's too much work to change everything? Would that be the reason? Or, I mean, you cannot be like ethically opposed to that, I would think. I would think the reasons would be because they don't want the work to change that, or like the kind of people like, yeah, it was never intentionally racist, so it's not racist. Like that's the same discussion we have with Zwarte Piet here, but it's a different story.
well, you know
But
how at conferences they take these pictures of all the participants at the end of the conference where you see all of the participants? I wonder if we were to look that up, how many of those would be old white men?
exactly,
You know,
exactly.
that it is in fact reflective of whether or not they care about the ethical implications of these names. Sorry to say, but yeah. The Congress also established a special review committee so that going forward with new species and possible future name revisions, that they would be assessed in terms of avoiding offensive, derogatory, or harmful names. I absolutely salute that. And
Yes, but didn't that exist before? That's weird to me. Like now it's not being assessed. You can submit anything, even racial slurs. Well, it's a good step forward, I guess, but very late to the game.
maybe for your generation, I think, going back to why would I call the Diefenbachia a dumb cane plant and then other problematic names? I think the awareness, the wokeness wasn't there
Mm.
in previous times,
Yeah.
where wokeness putting responsibility or it forces people to take responsibility for their actions. And I think that's something that wasn't as popular maybe even up to 30 years ago or so. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's more of a societal problem, I think, than it is a horticultural one.
So to conclude, we can put this a bit broader because we talked about the wandering Jew and then specifically about the kafra term, but there are a lot more plants with usually with common names that have hidden dark histories. Like we found in an article written by Zainab Kouatli in 2022, they expose racist roots across houseplants and common names. You talked about dumb cane, but also the term mummy is used a lot in common houseplant names. We saw recently a Hoya plant called Eskimo, which is also a derogatory term that we don't use anymore. So we see it a lot, and even in recent cultivars, still these names pop up, usually not with bad intentions, but it would
Mm,
be
Just
a lot
very,
better. Yeah,
just very little thought to what they're actually doing,
yeah,
right?
exactly. Or just not knowing. So using neutral scientific names isn't just a formality, it helps to, strip away any racism from everyday hobbies like plant collecting. It makes plant culture more inclusive.
Mm.
It might be a little inconvenience to you, even if it might have a big impact on other people. So the author of that article, they call for plant enthusiasts to educate themselves a bit more, like you say, to become aware of some name history, some colonial terms or activities, like we also discuss in the interview with Memo, just being more sensitive when it comes to plants that come from a certain region. And so if they are collected in a certain region and then get a common name that is racist or colonial, that's like,
I think the whole debate about colonial naming of plants is worthy of a entire section on its own, and I'd love to have an expert on this in the show. But basically, like the point about decolonizing taxonomy in this regard would be about botanists actually using the names that were used by the people where the plant was found, like their original
Yeah.
names. It's not like these plants haven't been named before. And even if they do give it a Latin name, it should still have some kind of resemblance to what the
Yep.
native people in those areas called those plants, right?
Yeah. Or if they are called after people, then call them after the people that live there.
Yeah, and not the people that described them.
Yeah. That's what I feel.
Yeah,
Okay. So that was that. Um, I think it was interesting to reflect upon.
definitely. But now I'm really looking forward to the
Yeah.
interview.
I was just saying, like, look at us being serious podcasters about serious subjects. And now, ugh, and
What
now
we
we
have some
throw away that.
serious love for Memo,
Yes.
so that's
Yeah.
equally as
Yes.
as serious. All right. Let's go ahead and welcome Memo to Prop Culture, the podcast where we spill some plant tea. Let's see what he has to spill.
Ooh,
Spilling the plenty.
So today our guest is Memo. Memo is a dear friend
ooh.
who's probably more known than we are.
Exactly. How does it feel to be on the other side of an interview, Memo? Because I've been interviewed by you.
I know, I was gonna say, I think it's alright. I think it's alright so far.
Well, so have I. I have a
This is
YouTube
true, yeah.
video with Memo, or Memo has one with me.
You were my first interview, Tanya. It was great.
Really?
Yeah, you were.
Oh, wow.
Mhm.
Cool stuff.
Mhm.
But yeah, speaking of interviews, how should our listeners know you? On Instagram, I'm going to say it, you're Trojan King 9.
Yes, Instagram Trojan King 9, and on YouTube, it's Houseplanty Goodness. And
Can we have the intro? You might see some of it behind me.
yes, my name is Memo. This is my channel, Houseplanty Goodness. I like to talk about my big passion. You might see some of it behind me. It's tropical houseplants. Sorry, I've said that too many times in my life. More than 500 videos deep now. It's kind
Oh
of
my gosh.
mumble it in my sleep, I think, at this point.
Okay. Contenance. All right. Okay, so you're a YouTuber. Do you
Mhm.
consider yourself a plant influencer?
No.
Okay.
I think, I saw somebody, a different kind of part of, like, the online multiverse, so to speak, that was talking about, I think they were an author, and they said they're not an influencer, they're a content creator. I think I would class myself more like that. I don't think I really influence people too much, if that makes sense. People do tend to get influenced, but that's not my goal, if that makes sense.
I think a plant influencer would also use their channels a lot more to make sales of some
Mhm.
sorts through affiliations, etc. I
Yeah.
don't think you do that.
No, I've got some affiliate links just to kind of support the channel a bit, but generally, no, I'd rather do content that is separate from that. I work in marketing. The last thing I want to be doing when I'm doing my YouTube videos is doing more sales.
Oh, that's so refreshing.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And I get it. I get it.
Yeah, me too.
We've spoken about monetizing the podcast.
Mhm.
And I
One
mean,
can dream.
one day when we have like 5,000 subscribers or something, maybe we'll
Yeah.
plug in a sponsor or something. But
Yeah.
right now, I just want to focus on the fun of it because I'm really enjoying it. We've had some
Good.
awesome guests, and you're right
Amazing.
up there with them.
Oh, good.
And it's so much fun. It
Good,
is.
in fact.
So I guess we're fellow content creators now.
100%, yeah.
Okie dokie.
Memo, do you
Let's.
consider yourself a plant collector?
Yes, I say that very carefully at this point because I know some very serious plant collectors. I don't know if I'd consider myself a serious plant collector, mm, but yes, if you
For
yeah,
for how long now?
since 2018, I would say.
Okay.
It was a
So
while.
before the Aroid bubble and
Yes, yes,
the collecting craze of 2020, 21. So if
yes.
you look back on your time plant collecting, what
Mhm.
do you feel has changed most? Like, and do you think that's a good or a bad evolution?
I think it's interesting because I've been through the whole roller coaster of demand, rarity. I'm doing air quotes. You can't see that, but And then the pricing fluctuating, because obviously when I started pre-pandemic, everything was a lot cheaper, and when things were rare, they were just difficult to find because not that many people knew about them. The prices weren't as exorbitant as they were during the pandemic. So I think that's the big thing that was changed. Obviously, prices and availability has changed. So obviously, you can get certain plants that we couldn't have even dreamed of being able to get our hands on during the pandemic. Or obviously now, I I can walk into a local garden center or plant shop and buy them for relatively cheap. That is a good thing. The other good thing is I think there's a lot more variety of plants available these days because hobby has exploded as much as it did. Um, so introducing some newer kind of genera that people might not be aware of, not necessarily just the aroid side of things, but just tropical plants in general. And also the introduction of quite the number of hybrids, I think is really, really cool to see at this particular moment in time, just to kind of see us not just looking at species, but also looking at new emerging hybrids as well.
Mm, agree.
I think those are the big things.
You just mentioned hybrids, but what I'd
Yeah.
really like to know is among all the plants that you
Mhm.
know of, not necessarily the ones you've collected, but all the plants you know of,
Sure.
which ones do you think are underrated and which are overrated?
Um, Underrated, I think, would be, and I'm going to be very broad with this, anything that isn't an aroid. I think more people need to start looking at. I mean, aroids are beautiful, and there's a huge breadth of kind of genuses and species that we can kind of look at that as well. And this is something I get as feedback to me from my YouTube channel audience for years now. Is the overwhelming comment at least once every few videos is, "Can you stop talking about arrows now? Can we have something else?" And I'm just like, so there's people are maybe getting a bit tired of it, basically. So I understand that. Underrated as well, I'll add a nice little bonus one on there, is sentimental plants or plants that don't necessarily fit into a mold. So I'll give you two examples. I had a dear planty friend who's also a collector of all things tropical and aroids. Him and me got very excited about two very specific plants, different plants. His family was from the Middle East, and he found a frankincense
Mhm.
plant. So for him, it had a strong cultural and kind of familiar response. And for me, it was the mastic plant, basically, it's because there's a lot of mastic trees in Greece. And I think that kind of having those types of options is kind of cool as well. Overrated. Overrated.
Where to start?
I know. Overrated. I think we're kind of past that point now. Is that there's this new plant that's on the market, and I must have it in my collection, which means that a lot of people ended up getting plants that they weren't adept at dealing with. So examples being, and this is nothing specifically wrong with these plants. It's just they're not for everybody in terms
Right.
of care. Things like the Philodendron melanochrysum, the Queen Anthurium. Again, nothing wrong with either of these plants, but they can be a bit more specific in what they need, and they're not for everybody, and people would get very disappointed. I think that's what I think is overrated. Plants that everybody wants, everybody must have, not being the easiest, and then getting people disappointed when they can't keep them pristine, I
Mhm.
think is the other
Yeah.
big thing. Pristine plants is overrated as well.
Oh,
Exactly.
yes.
I was just gonna say that, like,
Yeah.
who has perfect plants? Like,
Mm.
that. Yeah.
You know, as we prepare the content for each of the episodes, we're always on the lookout for, market predictions, trends,
Mm,
etc. And I find it really funny that, like, for the more general population,
mhm,
several magazines and institutes have predicted that 2026 is going to be like the year of the houseplant. And I'm
mhm,
really curious to see how that is gonna evolve because I think they don't really consider the aroid bubble as something for the masses.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And,
but
like
also, are these real articles, Tanya? Like, they're just like, "We need to publish something," and then I think these get published every year. This is the year of the houseplant, or Gen
you
Z
think?
discovers houseplants, and I'm like,
Oof.
"Uh." Is that new? Like,
Yeah,
I
it's like
think
they're kind of late to the party, like that girl with the tissue culture
exactly,
video that
exactly.
exploded, like, beyond our circles of
The dome.
how do you say? Beyond our circle of plant curators, if you want.
I was very surprised with her content kind of exploding because I'm just like, I don't think I've seen a few of her videos. I'm just like, I don't think she ever goes into too much detail about how to do it to like because she's selling her products. I'm just like, I don't know how this broke the internet. She doesn't actually give away any trade secrets, really.
No,
I think
no.
the reason is because of the guy who shared it. I
Ah,
I
fair
think it was
enough.
some gamer who wrote an
Ah, fair.
article about it and kind of made it look like, this is where you can make money, and I'm thinking to myself, "Dude, you're so
You're so
wrong."
late.
Yeah, it's like, "Hello."
And
Anybody who could have
especially
made any money did it in the
yeah,
2020s. Basically, is not.
especially begonia. I mean, you can cut up that leaf and put it in
Yeah,
water and it will grow too. Like, you
yeah,
don't need TC for that.
no.
Anyways, we talked about that last week, Tanya. I don't think we need
Yeah.
Sorry.
need to be furious about it every week.
Yeah, I know.
Talking about the plant community,
Yes.
how do you see the plant community evolving in the next 5 years? Because the last 5 years were quite tumultuous, a lot of change.
Well,
Would you see them in the next 5 years? And importantly, how do you see yourself in or your involvement in that? Like, would it be the same as is it now, or like, would you adapt with the community?
that's good questions. That's very good questions. On the first one, in terms of how do I see it changing, and I think we're probably a lot of us are starting to see this a bit more. Is a bit more curated collections and more conscious decisions. So we've more or less fully left behind that I must collect everything mentality. At least that's the kind of vibe I'm getting from a lot of different people, and I would agree as well. Mm, And looking at because a lot of people ended up getting into the hobby for mental health reasons. There's so many of us that ended up in
Mhm.
the hobby because of mental health reasons, and actually, it ended up almost biting us back because we all overdid it. So we end up with so many plants, and then that causes issues to mental health because you're constantly stressed and overworked and having to care for all of these things whilst leading a life. I think we're past the downsizing stage now. And I think instead of people having 700 plants, multiple formats of the same plant in different flavors, I used to say, and having more of a smaller collection, it still might be in 100 or 200, but it's much more conscious. And I think that's a good thing. I think that's a good thing. Not all plant is meant for everybody, and I don't mean that to be exclusionary, but I think
No, you're right.
we kind of people need to earn their stripes before going the harder
Mm.
place.
When I downsized from 750 to, like, I think before I left for the US, I probably was at around 300,
Mhm.
and now with my preparation of going to the US, I did give away a lot of my collection to we have these trading events and check-in, whatnot. Um, I think part of the downsizing was not just to alleviate myself of the amount of work, but number 1, like, honing in on the genus that really speaks to me,
Yes.
but then also, over the years, having learned what environment I can actually give my plants.
Mhm.
And so while I didn't focus on just 1 or 2 genuses, I did like, in my case, it was more about, like, what's the easiest collection within the environment that I can provide without going to great lengths, like setting up humidifiers and having grow lights all over the house and what so I think my collection has been concentrated around the type of care these plants need
Mhm.
within the group of plants that I prefer, which happen to be mostly aroids, but yeah, I'm guilty.
Yeah, but it makes sense though. And this is the thing. I think that move towards what makes people happy without overwhelming them
Mhm,
is key. And I think possibly what you're saying as well, like focusing on not just the plants that you like, but maybe the genuses that you're comfortable with and
mhm,
you'd kind of want to get a bit more into. And I think that's when we're going to maybe start seeing specialists come up in the hobby, so to speak. So you'll go to somebody who's more can speak more to the truth of syngoniums, of philodendrons, or mosserias. These are the things, and I think that creates a nice community where you'll still have the generalists, but it's nice to kind of talk to somebody who's specialized in
I
one
had an
person.
interesting question last week. A fellow plant collector here in the US reached out to me and
Mhm.
asked me about a genus. Don't ask me the name, but it was some kind of African terrarium plant.
Oh,
And she's like, I can't get it over here. And I checked. There really is one seller in the US who sells them, but there's
Mhm.
like multiple in Europe.
Mhm.
I thought that was interesting. Like, number one, I'd never heard of the genus. Number two, I didn't even know that you can find terrarium plants native
Mhm.
to Africa. Um, Goes to show how little I know about anything outside of the aroid world. I thought that was interesting.
you get that discrepancy a lot of the time,
Yeah.
depending on geography. I always find it quite interesting when I ask my audience on my channel, depending on the video, "This is difficult for us to find here. Is it
Yeah.
difficult for you to find it there?" And invariably, there's always a difference between Europe and America, but actually even more granular than that, sometimes I make assumptions that because something is available readily in the UK where I'm based, that it would be in Europe, and a lot of the times I'm very quickly corrected by my European audience going, "No, no, we can't get this here either." I'm just like, "Oh, okay."
Mm.
Oh, wow.
That
Yeah.
that reminds me of a plan we have to develop on plant provenance, Tanya. So the idea is to have some kind of wiki style pages on
Oh,
our
nice.
website to get
Mhm.
information about plants, and one of those thing on each page of the plant would be where people get to indicate how easily they can find a plant in the area where they live, and
Mhm.
also at what kind of prices they get sold. So people would get more like an idea as to what prices are being asked where or around the world, and also in which year. So that's like an idea we have to develop on our website in the future, but it's still on the roadmap for now.
That's very cool. That's very cool.
I
That
do love the mock-up of it. It looks
Yeah.
so sophisticated.
just need an investor.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, if anybody has too much money laying around, um,
Hit you up,
invest
yeah?
in provenance. Yeah. Um, Totally different question, Memo. Do you have a plant confession that you want to share with the audience? Or a
Punk.
collector's confession?
Oh. Yes, there are. I don't know if this is so much of a secret, especially if people watch my channel. There are certain plants that I have killed the same plant over and over again, but I refused to be beaten.
Yeah.
We all
And I
we
will
all
keep
have.
yeah,
My
I keep
nemesis
buying that one
is
plant, yeah.
the Warqueanum.
Oh, really?
I try that over and over, and I don't know.
Oh,
That's one of the things that I should probably let go.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't have mentioned it earlier. Apologies if it triggered anything.
I mean, I have Anthurium chunks that are 5 years old that still have roots that refuse to die, but I so refuse to throw them away.
And they
It's
were
just
aquariums or just general Anthurium chunks?
by this time I don't know anymore.
Excellent.
I mean,
Oh, I've got those as well. Like, I did a video recently opening up a prop box
Oh,
that
I
I
saw
have not
that.
opened up for a year, and I'm just like, "I don't know what's in here." And when you start picking up variegated plants in a very juvenile form, and I'm just like, "It could be this, or it could be these other 5 things, I don't know."
Yeah. I
Yeah.
found stuff in my prop box where I was absolutely certain that I've never owned it,
Excellent.
I'm
like,
sure
especially with
somebody
Syngonium.
snuck it in there. Just somebody snuck it in there, Tanya. That's
Mm. I've also,
that
like,
happened.
lost plants, like,
Yeah.
in my collection. I'm like,
Oh, yeah, all
I
the time.
know I had this. Where did it go?"
All the time.
It's like, yeah, they start running around the house.
I know, it's just like, where does it and it's usually you in a very specific mood where you're just like, "Oh, no, Imma move you to here because I
Yeah.
know this will be better for you," and then you almost immediately forgot where here is.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I know that
I'm
one
gonna put
well.
you in a safe spot. Mhm.
Yeah, I think that's my confession is that there's too many plants that I have killed over and over again, but I refuse to give up.
I
I
think
will not be beaten.
I think Yoss has a really fun question.
Yeah.
Yes. So if you could dream big, money is no issue. You can buy anything you want. What purchases would you make that are plant related? But like plant related in the big sense of the word. Like you could buy a greenhouse, you could buy
I've got an answer already for this one. If money wasn't, if it's not a plant, if it's something
You can buy
for
anything. You can buy plants too, and money is no issue, so just spend away.
so the one big thing is something that I'm still hoping that one day I might own. Interestingly, it was shown by a gardening YouTuber years ago, and it was a greenhouse. There's a very specific company in the UK that makes these beautiful greenhouses, absolutely huge, but they look like almost like a mini Kew Gardens. I don't know how else to describe it. You know those in Kew Gardens where they've got the tropical houses, and
Mm.
they're that kind of old school glass house. It looks like
Like,
that.
I think it's called an orangerie.
Similar, yes, very similar, but
Yeah.
it's done in that really specific, with the domed glass tops and
Yeah.
everything. Beautiful, but also huge and, like that to me, and probably if money wasn't an issue, I'd fill it up with probably I'd want to grow bigger things because I think that's my big thing is I generally do better. I've and this is something I recognize after how many years of doing this. I'm much better at growing plants that are meant to be big. Anything that is meant to stay small and diminutive, I cannot get it to work for me. So I'd probably get something like some difficult to find banana plants growing huge in there, things like that. And yeah, and also a whole bunch more orchids. I'm getting into my orchid era recently and I'm enjoying it. And I would like to get into a bit more. And that's a whole different shebang there.
Mhm.
But yeah, if money wasn't a
That's
problem, it would be
that's
that.
really modest to my opinion. Like,
Yeah,
I would buy so much more.
that- that's good.
Like we had a call with Joop last time, and he owns like how many acres in French
Mhm.
Guinea? Like that would be the tree.
Oh yeah. Oh, we're thinking internationally. I wasn't thinking internationally, but yes, that would be nice.
Jos has a tendency to go for world domination.
I like it. I like
No,
it.
but I'm a
Never lose
kind
that.
dictator. I'm a kind dictator.
Well, I like that. I like that. That's a good way of looking at it. But yeah, I think that would be it. Oh, and one more thing I would do, mainly because I've grown in the conservatory for so long and I know all the problems with it. And I'm doing this hopefully in the next property, regardless of how cheap or expensive the greenhouse is going to be. I will do geothermal energy underneath the greenhouse, so I do not have to heat it up, and it will stay at a stable temperature even in the
Exactly.
winter.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah. That's a good
perfect.
one.
That's very cool. Not air source, but ground source.
Yeah.
Very cool. But it's expensive to do, but worth it, hopefully.
I'm trying to remember how deep they actually have to dig. It's quite deep, isn't it? Like,
Hmm. It is, but I think we've said this already. Hoping to be bought in and moved in by next December if we're lucky. If all goes to plan. And I've already said nobody's touching the garden. The builders are coming in immediately and they are digging up, mainly to amend the soil entirely as much as I possibly can, and also to create this kind of heated situation.
nice.
Because
Will
it's
the
one of the
chickens benefit?
yes, well, it's going to be chickens, ducks, geese, donkeys, and pigs and goats at that point. It will be a whole menagerie.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
what we want. And for
my
the
big
next one.
dream is to like inherit a small vineyard on Corsica and have a
Ooh,
donkey
yay.
to shred my stuff
Nice.
and 2 goats so I can make cheese.
Yes.
And I definitely need at least 3 olive trees.
100%.
Yeah,
100%.
I gotta manifest that. And if I'm not gonna inherit it, I'm gonna buy it.
There you go.
I mean, I wouldn't know who I'd inherit it from, but, you can put it out there.
Yeah, never know.
Yeah, but donkeys are cute. Love
Very much so.
donkeys.
Very much so.
My aunt has some donkeys.
Ooh, nice. Very
Yeah,
cool.
they're so sweet.
Mm.
But I guess that leads to the next question. Now, I mean, getting money with no limit to spend is already quite utopia.
Mhm.
But now let's look into time travel. If you could choose to live in any time period, future or past, which one would you choose related to growing and collecting plants?
Oh, future, 100%.
Really?
I'm I'm assuming a lot of people would have said the past based on
Yes.
that one. Yeah, I'm assuming a lot of people would have said the past. I would want to be in the future for several reasons. One, there are probably going to be more things that will be available to keep plants easier. I'm all about ease. The early days of keeping plants were a lot of trial and error, which is fun, but also I don't want to go through that. We go through that enough already as it is. I'd want my life to be made easy, and I would like to see the future where they correct mistakes. I am very much about ethical botany, basically. So dismantling some of the naming for plants that we had from people that maybe weren't local to the regions where they decided to name a plant because they saw it for the first time, and maybe letting some of the locals name their plants.
Yeah.
Things like that, and just easier things.
Decolonizing decolonizing
Decolonizing, that's the
the
one, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so the future would have that a bit more, I think, and then also, yeah, just environments where you could easily I know, people are gonna hate me for saying this, automate some of the plant care. Do the plant care that you enjoy doing, but
Yeah.
trust me, I could have an automation where I don't have to deal with another pest ever. That's worth its money in gold.
Yes. I agree. I agree.
Leave me to my repotting and watering, I enjoy doing that. If I don't ever have to deal with another pest and there's some future thing that automatically deals with that, great. Sign me up.
Yep. I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, we have to invent that, Tanya. Then we'd be rich.
Yeah. 100%.
Hmm.
Then you won't need an investor.
Exactly.
You be your own
Okay.
investor.
Hmm.
Let me think.
Hmm. That could be our path to at least the plant world
I
domination.
mean, if it were that easy, Tanya,
Yeah.
it would have
Then
been done
everybody
by
would
now.
then
But
everybody would be doing it.
Yeah, exactly.
this is the thing. But there's something that I don't know whether or not anybody else has discussed this, but you know how at any given moment you could have the cleanest of environments and somehow you still end up getting pests on the
Mhm.
plant, correct?
Mhm.
Um, how is it that we never automatically get pest predators on plants? That would be great. How is that fair?
That is very true.
Do you
But
know
you
what I
know,
mean?
100%, like, why do we always bring in the bad bugs?
Yeah. Why are none of the good bugs around to
You know
come in
how
automatically?
you know about me that I love to cook, right? So, obviously, at home, I cook a lot with fresh herbs, and
Mhm.
because I really, really suck at outdoor gardening, like, I
And
can't grow anything except maybe a couple of rose bushes.
that was good. That's
But
fair.
so I have to bring in my fresh herbs.
Mhm.
The amount of times I've brought home something simple like
Yeah.
basil and it was covered in thrips,
Yeah. Yeah.
like, holy crap,
Yeah.
it's
No,
not fair.
it is a thing, and it's a real thing. I think was laughing with some people around my area where we all met because we kind of collect plants around here, and we were joking because I'd go to the allotment, and for anybody who's not based in the UK, that's kind of little plots of land that you can hire monthly or yearly from the council, and you can cultivate it usually for vegetables to kind of
Mhm.
feed the family. Mm. But obviously, in the summer, everything has got bugs. So there's a running joke that we would all get home after this, literally strip naked, get in the shower,
Mhm.
get all the bugs off us, and then and only then are we allowed to go into our sensitive houseplant collections.
Well, yeah,
Because
it's
I'll be
true.
damned. I will be damned. Because
Well,
even if you don't bring it in on a plant, it was, yeah, it's in your hair, it's on your skin, you don't see it, it's especially thrips.
yeah, they're so God, I
Yeah,
hate them.
yeah, I think most people do.
But then on the other hand, at least we know this stuff is organic and not treated with pesticides and
True,
whatnot.
true, true, true. This is true. This is
But I
true.
have given people a ban on bringing me fresh flowers for my birthday or
Yes.
Mother's Day or whatever. I'll
Yeah.
always be like, "No, you are not gonna bring in" oh gosh, I mean, it was worse during the pandemic. Um,
Mm,
and it's sad because my mother-in-law, she's a landscape or used to be a landscape architect, and she has the most beautiful garden and a huge,
Oh,
huge patch of land where she has cherry trees and pumpkins and
oh,
whatnot.
lovely.
And she also loves to grow just flowers, to cut
Mhm.
and put in our house. Um, but I'm like, "No, don't bring them."
Refuse, you shall not pass.
The many times they went straight into the bin after she came to visit.
Oh,
Oh, I'm so mean. Oh, that's a plant confession.
there you go, yeah.
Oh my
That is
gosh.
a dark confession.
The good thing is she doesn't know English, so she
Oh, fair
wouldn't
enough.
understand.
Oh. Well, the thought was there. She was trying to be nice,
Yeah.
regardless. Yeah.
And I wanted to give you one more little nugget, Memo. Do you know what allotment is called in German?
No, go on.
Schrebergarten.
Schrebergarten. Oh, I like it.
But what does allotment mean?
He
Uh,
explained it. You
yeah,
get
it's
allotted a piece of land
yeah,
to
yeah,
cultivate.
yeah.
Usually, you can only have a maximum of 40% grass area because people will use it as their
Garden.
holiday at
Oh,
home,
yeah, or like yeah,
with the
yeah,
barbecues and everything. So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
usually you have to,
Oh, it's
it
like
depends on the council, but
community gardens, like.
Similar. It happened here during, I think it was one of the world wars where people
Mhm.
needed to feed themselves. So what the council would do is buy really usually bad land that farmers didn't want because it wasn't productive for them to be producing commercially, but it would still grow vegetables happily enough. And then, for instance, our plot, I'll give you a very specific, Jos, if you want to know, our plot is 11 meters by 11 meters.
Hmm.
And I think we pay a year 24 or 28 pounds, Great British pounds. So maybe about 30 to 32 euros a year.
Mhm.
We have no running water, so we have to collect our water there. But essentially, we can then do, and what Tanya is saying is correct. Like there is a limit. I don't think R1 specifically does, but it depends on the allotment association. You can do. Some of them will say you need to at least be growing 50% vegetables, and then you can grow because a lot of people just get them and they have beautiful plants but no vegetables, and they're just like, well, the intention was always vegetables for this, so at least part of it needs to be vegetables.
Mm.
And usually what happens is the people that want to grow beautiful flowers, they'll grow beautiful flowers, and then usually somewhere in the corner there's about 50 odd onions. Look, I'm growing vegetables.
But some people take it to the extremes. Oh my
I know,
God.
yeah, I know.
My ex family, they're Italian, and one of the aunts had an allotment, and they had a little garden house
Shed.
where sometimes they would stay if they had too much
Sweet.
red wine or something, whatever.
Excellent.
So that was already illegal, and then over the years, they added a dishwasher, and they added a
Oh,
stove, and they
wow.
added a television, and they
Wow.
like an outhouse,
Yeah,
to use as a bathroom, and, like, it turned into
I
this
think.
complete holiday home.
Amazing. That is worthy of the Greeks. That sounds like something the Greeks would do,
Yeah.
including, like, not my immediate family, but people that I know would do that.
Yeah, yeah.
You say there was Italian links there?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Us Italians and us and the Greeks are very, very similar to each other.
I mean, if you didn't know what to do on a weekend, you always knew you could hit up the garden. Somebody would be there, because big
Oh,
family.
100%.
And then we'd
100%, yeah.
end up sitting there like 25 people having dinner, and yeah.
Amazing. That's so cool.
Well, that was a tangent.
Sorry, yeah.
No problem, no problem. So, did I understand that right, that you already have the new property secured?
Not yet.
Not
We're
yet.
gonna be looking anybody who's not from the UK, the process of buying property here is very convoluted.
Mhm.
And things can go wrong and it can take a very, very, very long time. So the plan is we'll start looking just after Christmas and hopefully be in by next Christmas. We've seen a lot of properties that we like. We're probably looking at getting somewhere that has, if we're lucky, between 2 and 5 acres of land
Mhm.
for all of the animals, and we'll keep the allotment, but we'll do more of that at the house. We'll have the farm animals. A lot of the places have already got conservatories, so I'll be able to keep my setup with my plants.
Nice.
Um, but everybody, all of us who done collections, if we ever have a chance, for however much we hate moving houses, doing all of these things, it's a blank slate to redo things
Mhm.
and maybe do things differently because what you had before didn't work. So yes, if I have a new conservatory, there's a few things that I would want to do from day one so
Mm.
that it would be easier.
Well, looks like you're not gonna run out of content anytime soon, but
Probably not, no.
we are running out of time, my friend. It's been a joy talking to you as always, and
Always fun.
fingers crossed for your trip to Greece.
Thank you.
Enjoy that.
Thanks.
I don't know if you celebrate Christmas or not.
Yeah, people do back home as well. Like we will be doing here, my family will be doing there. But
Mm,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
nice. So enjoy that.
Thank you. You too. Anybody, hopefully, if you guys are doing something fun over the holidays, you, your families, and all these things, I hope you guys have a good one as well.
Thank you. Actually, I'm going home for Christmas. I'm looking forward to seeing my
Oh, nice.
oh,
Yeah.
and my partner, of course.
I was gonna say maybe family, but okay. Priority.
Yeah. I can jump on calls with them. I can't jump on calls with my
Yeah,
plants.
I know. You're gonna need a day when you get back to just, like, reconnect with your collection.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Wonderful.
Yes. Last words.
La- Last words. That
Oh my
sounds
god, that sounds
better.
ominous.
No, we'll talk again, right, Memo?
Definitely, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah, it
Okay.
was really nice talking to you.
Amazing. Thank you so much both for having me.
Thank you for being here with us.
And yeah,
See
hopefully
you
catch up
around
soon.
on the
Yes.
on the tube, the
The tube.
YouTube. Okay. Take good care of yourself, Memo.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
And that was the interview. We love Memo. See, I don't need AI to make music.
Mm, mm,
No? Okay.
who's gonna tell her?
I hate you too.
Lovely, Tanya. Lovely. You should pursue a career.
No,
Yeah.
I would much rather rate that weird plant.
Weird plants, weird plants. Everybody loves weird plants.
Now we're getting to the favorites. Are you ready for some weird plans?
Yes. I got
I
my
have two
glasses cleaned.
plants. Okay. I have two plants of the same genus. I think
Mm-hmm.
we also had that genus before. They're just weird plants. Meh.
Okay.
So,
Hit it.
and then we have one from another. So I'll start with one of that genus, and the genus is Euphorbia. Euphorbia. This plant is called Euphorbia obesa.
Are they calling it fat?
I guess so.
Oh no, orbeza. So
No, no,
orb-like,
obesa. No,
obesa.
obesa, like obese,
Oh, that's not.
obesa.
Oh gosh, that's a cutie.
Cute,
It's a
right?
little fatty.
But describe it for me.
Okay, so there's like this really ornate, like ball, maybe the size of I don't know, a baseball. And then it has a little wig on top hmm, let me zoom in, of little flowers, I guess.
Mm.
And like the ball itself, no, really, it has like a sewing pattern like a baseball.
Yeah, I mean,
And it's like
it's funny you
mint.
say that
What?
because it is referred to as the baseball plant.
Really?
Yeah,
Huh. See, I'm good.
you're
Taxonomist
good.
right here. Um, and then there's little flowers, I guess, at the top. And they're green. It looks like,
Yeah, they're typical for euphorbia flowers. That looks
yeah.
really
But
typical.
that's like a green, but then the base, the round thing, is a beautiful mint color. And it has like a really delicate pattern.
Yeah,
I like it. It's
yeah, me
like
too.
weird
It
love.
reminds me of like a stress ball, like something
Oh,
you could
yeah.
squeeze.
I'm pretty sure you wouldn't want to squeeze that.
No. So Euphorbia obesa is a subtropical succulent.
Mm-hmm.
It comes from the arid Karoo in the Eastern Cape province of South Africa. A lot of weird plants in South Africa. So it is referred to as the baseball plant. Though in the wild it is endangered because of overcollecting, boo, and poaching, boo, combined with slow growth and the fact that the pot contains only 2 or 3 seeds.
Oh, wow.
However, it's widely cultivated in botanical gardens, so there's hope for that.
Mm-hmm.
But stop over collecting, people. No poaching, wild harvesting, whatever. Don't do it. It's not good.
Yeah. I will
Okay.
give that a 5.
Yeah. See, the thing is, we usually associate like weird with ugly or like
No.
no, because
Oh,
it can be cute and weird together. I mean, okay, but a 5 is okay. 5 is okay. I'll take a 5. So the next one is called Trachyandra tortilis.
tortillas.
And it looked like this.
Oh, that's weird. Ooh, I love that. Is that real? Like,
It is
it
completely
grows like
real.
that? Oh
It
my
grows like
goodness.
that.
It looks like, okay, what am I seeing? It looks like curls of sorts, but like in a S shape, in a perpetual S shape, and it's kind of reddish at the bottom. It has then obviously towards the top it gets green, but the red continues on the margins. It's oh gosh, that is nice. That is weird.
See what
Love
my
it.
mind doesn't get?
Mhm,
You would think that it would grow on the top, right? That it
mhm,
would extend on the top.
mhm.
But then the curl at the top is already past its curvature.
No, it's forming a
So
circle.
so it would not go back, right? So
Hmm.
it doesn't make sense to me.
Maybe it
Anyways,
stretches before it grows, before a growth spurt or something. You really
mm,
think it grows from the bottom?
no. Well, usually plants don't grow from the bottom.
I
So
know, that's why I'm asking. Yeah,
and
that would be interesting to see. Oh, that's a weird one.
so is you think like it would be the same base as tortellini, like the pasta?
I did actually think of lasagna noodles,
Mhm.
but like the American kind, they have these ruffled edges.
Ugh.
I mean, this doesn't have ruffled edges, but just the snake-like
Yeah.
S curvature. It's really weird. You guys are gonna have to check out the picture.
So it also comes from northern and western Cape, South
Mhm,
Africa, and it's a perennial. It grows with an underground tuber,
mhm.
and the flowers look like this, which I found really cool. Because how
But
do you
where's the
see that
rest of the
at
plant?
well, you can see it here
Huh.
at the bottom.
Okay, so the first one you showed me is just an exceptionally pretty grown one, or because
I guess so.
yeah. Well, the flowers look kind of pretty but boring-ish, I think.
Like an orchid kind of
Hmm.
inflorescence.
I've n
Yeah,
like,
but
I
for
can't
it was just to show you, like, to me, those didn't seem like from the same plant, so that's why I
no.
wanted to show you. But this is what you're rating, the
If that is
plants.
what I'm rating, that is getting a 8.
Yeah,
That's
I thought so.
pretty.
Yeah, I like it
Does
too.
it grow like a cactus or succulent, or I guess it's a succulent type.
Yeah. The last one, another euphorbia, Euphorbia
Mhm.
tirucali, cultivar fire sticks.
That's oh my gosh, that's cool. It looks like an upside down Hoya linearis that goes from green into yellow into bright red. Mm, that is wow, cute.
It's like the Jamaican flag, or no, is that
Yes,
not?
I thought so too, but I didn't wanna but yeah, that's really pretty.
Like, if the colors were not there, it would be a very, very ordinary euphorbia.
Yeah,
They look
yeah.
like that, but then the colors, they look surreal.
I see your true colors. Okay, I need to shut up. But yeah, do you think that's
Next
sun stress
podcast,
or
Singing with Tanya.
no?
It's possible, but since that the cultivar is named Fire Sticks, I would
Yeah.
think it looks like that.
That's pretty and weird that it would, like, distribute its colors like that.
So we were talking about common names. This one has a few common names: the Indian tree spurge, naked lady, pencil tree, pencil cactus, fire stick, or milk bush. The native tree to Africa. Well, Africa.
You're
It's
on a roll
huge.
today.
But that's a huge continent, like
Yeah.
native to Africa. It's like saying native to America. So it grows in semi-arid tropical climates. It's a hydrocarbon plant. I have no idea what that means, but it produces a poisonous latex that can cause temporary blindness.
Oh, she.
I think that's with all euphorbia. Like if you break the stems, there's like a milky liquid coming out, and that's poisonous, I guess.
Dang. Don't poke that in your eyes.
I don't know if it needs to be in the eye to cause blindness.
Oh.
Anyway, that's not the topic here. How are we gonna rate this one?
I'm gonna give it a 7.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
So we have some weird plants.
That's nice selection again, yes, nice selection. I'm gonna get you next time.
Okay. I'm up for it.
Tirukali fire. If Euphorbia tirukali. Tirukali? Tirukali.
Tirocalli.
Mm.
Tirocalli.
We're probably botching some of these names so bad.
No, nobody knows how Latin was pronounced, so you cannot botch it.
Mm.
You can try Italian, which is close to
Ma
that.
cazzo. Oops, that was bad.
Uf-
Sorry.
Euphorbia Tirocalli.
Wonderful. All right. Dude, I've had enough of you today. Let's wrap it up.
Okay. You were the one always singing, so
I might edit that out. I might not.
you gotta make a compilation at the end. And now 20 minutes of Tanya singing.
Trying to sing.
Or you just gonna, edit it, put it through AI, get your vocals tuned
No.
with Mariah Carey's voice or
No.
something like that.
What you see is what you get. Ain't nobody got time for that fakeness.
Mm, You have time for that.
Hmm. No, 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 no. All right, let's wrap it up. Thank you, everybody,
Let's
for
wrap it
tuning in
up.
today. Go show Memo some love on his Instagram and YouTube if you're not already following him. He is a lovely person to watch. Highly recommend.
And if you don't already, follow us on every channel you can, because we will be making content until we're gray and old and have at least 100,000 followers, which is in the year 2099.
I'm not even going to be alive then. What the heck are you talking about?
I might replace you with a younger specimen, Tanya.
Oh my God, every woman in her menopause era hears that from their partners. Oh gosh.
Okay, let's wrap it up. Bye
We're
bye.
getting
See you next
stupid.
week.
Bye bye.
Culture.